And welcome back to the channel. It is another late night, soccer on the field, just got home. Tonight I am going to make for you one of the absolute classic Italian fast foods. Spaghetti aglio, olio e peperoncino, which means literally spaghetti with aglio, garlic, olio, extra virgin olive oil, and peperoncino, chili pepper. And in my version, I also put a little bit of pancetta. Pancetta is a salt-cured belly of pork. This is it gives a little bit of something to the dish. I don't put this in as a protein. I put this in more as a seasoning. But I can tell you, we're going to do a lot on this channel when we're talking about quick, healthy, nourishing food. There's going to be a lot of pastas, and in most cases, it will take literally as long to boil the pasta as it will take to make the sauce. So pasta to me is a blank canvas. There's so many different options. So we are going to do a lot of different things with respect to pasta on this channel, predominantly because I'm Italian and I grew up with it. But quite honestly, pasta aglio, olio e peperoncino is probably the original fast food. And fast food doesn't mean unhealthy. Fast food does not mean lacking flavor. It's packed with flavor, and it literally takes minutes to prepare, and you can have dinner on the table easily for 4 people. Now, I'm going to start things off by saying we're going to use long pasta today, so spaghetti. When we eat long pasta, for some reason, I just find we eat more of it. This is about 650 to 700 grams of pasta, and this will be good for 4 hungry people, plus a little bit of leftovers for lunches and stuff for the kids tomorrow. But when we eat a pack of short pasta, whether you're talking about penne, rigatoni, fusilli, whatever the shape, usually one bag, a 500-gram bag of pasta is good for 4 people. But for some reason, when we eat long pasta, we just tend to eat a little bit more. So what we're going to do is we're going to start things off just by chopping a couple of things up. We're going to start with our pancetta. The pancetta here in the back, I have a pancetta as a slab. You can get it at the deli. It comes as a round cut of meat, and basically it's got no rind on it, but this slab of pancetta that I have still has the rind on it. So all we're going to do is we're just going to slice off the rind. This is the outer skin of the pig. We don't want that in our dish. We want to make sure we just trim some of that off. There we are. So all we're going to do is we're going to cut our pancetta up into little matchsticks. So we're going to start by cutting up thin slices, probably somewhere, I'd say between 1/8 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch thick. There we are. And this is literally about 100 grams of pancetta. You can see this is the belly of the pig. So there is a little bit of fat in there, but that fat's going to melt as we slice it up and we put it in the pan. So as I'm slicing up my pancetta, I have a pot of water on, big stock pot of water that I'm going to salt before I put my pasta in to cook. But this sauce is literally so quick that you get your water started before you get your sauce started, and that way everything is ready at the same time. There we are. And then we'll get the rest of our pancetta just sliced up, literally little matchsticks. And pancetta is something that's cured, so you can eat this as is. We don't need to cook it. I usually like to take a small taste just to see how much salt is in there, because I want to manage how much salt I end up putting in my dish. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get some of these little matchsticks of pancetta in the pan. And because this pancetta is not terribly fatty, we're going to put in some olive oil here as well. This is a cold pan. I know this looks like a fair bit of olive oil, but this essentially is going to be the sauce for the dish. So I'm going to start my burner. As my pancetta is crisping up, I'm going to cut up my garlic and my chili pepper, and literally this is the sauce. It could not be simpler. It could not be easier. This is the original Italian fast food. So we're just going to peel our garlic just quickly. Slice off either end. Quick incision down the side. And we take off the skin. We'll just put this on our plate here. And then we'll take our chili pepper and just take off the little stem end. And literally what we're going to do, we're going to press our garlic. And then we're just going to slice this up very, very fine. The last thing you want here is a big piece of garlic under your teeth. We're going to cut this up fine. There we are. Now we've got our chili pepper. If you want a little bit less heat, simply slice it down the middle, scrape out the seeds and the pith, which is that white membrane that attaches the seed to the pod of the chili. And if you do that, you'll get less heat. I like a little bit more aggressive heat, a little bit more fierce heat. To me, the soul, the essence of the chili is in those seeds and in that pith, and I want to make sure I get a good bit of heat in my dish. It's winter, so you know what? We want to make sure we get something that's going to warm us from the inside out. So we're just going to run our knife through it, and literally, that's it. So we're going to wait until our pancetta is nice and crispy, which should take a few minutes. We're just going to give this a quick stir. And it goes without saying, impeccably clean hands. Yeah, I know. Ladies, wash those hands before we cook. Your hands are the best tools that you have. Make sure they're clean. And that way, you can use them efficiently. You can use them effectively when you cook. They are absolutely the best tools that you have in the kitchen. So I'm just going to give this pancetta about 3 or 4 more minutes until it gets a little bit of color. And we will be right back. Our garlic and our chili peppers, just throw them right in the pan. Throw them right in the pan. Scrape off the knife. And now, we're just going to cut the heat. That's it. We're going to give this a quick stir. And all of the residual heat in that olive oil is basically going to cook the garlic and the chili. It's going to take the really, really aggressive heat out of the chili. As you cook it, the heat's going to soften, and you're going to get this nice hum of chili. You're definitely going to know it's there, but it's not aggressive like a raw chili would be if you were to bite into it. And there is plenty of heat in this pan and in that oil to basically soften and caramelize the garlic. That's it. Walk away. Walk away. The sauce is now done. We're going to check our water. Water's coming up to the boil. Now, as soon as our pasta's done, we're just going to toss it right in here. We're going to let this sit right on the burner, and that residual heat is just going to caramelize that garlic. It's not going to burn the garlic. It's just going to caramelize that garlic. If you don't have pancetta, by all means, you can make this dish without it just as good. Well, in my opinion. You always need a little bit of pancetta to make it what it is. But if you don't have pancetta, we can certainly make the dish without it. Still good. Absolutely authentic, fantastic iteration there. If you have a couple of rashers of leftover bacon, you can use that as well. So if I'm making a dish for, 4 or 5 people, 4 or 5 slices of bacon, same thing, cut it up thin into little matchsticks, brown the bacon until it starts to get crispy, cut the heat, throw in your chili pepper, your garlic, walk away. The sauce is done. Now we're just going to wait for our water to come up to the boil. We're going to salt it and throw in our spaghetti. We'll be back as soon as our water's boiled. All right, we are back. I think our water has finally come to the boil. We're just going to give it a quick check. And there we are. It's just starting to boil. So what we're going to do, we're going to get our salt. Aggressively salt our water. We want our water to be as salty as seawater. So we're going to give this a few good pinches of salt. There we are. Put that over here. And we want to make sure our salt has dissolved. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our spaghetti, we're going to do this in 2 2 bunches. What I like to do to make sure that it separates. There we are. I make 2 rings with my fingers around the spaghetti. As I put it into the pan, I twist. And as it lands, it separates. So we're going to try that again. Get all of these guys in here. Again, we're going to make 2 rings with our fingers. We're going to twist, and it will separate. So now what we want to do is just get our tongs and make sure that this goes right down into the water before we start our timer. And then for this particular noodle, we're looking at about 10 minutes time in salted water, and then we'll be ready to go. So I will see you just as this pasta is done cooking. All right, we are back. We've got about 30 seconds to go on our timer. I've just tasted a noodle. It is absolutely perfectly al dente. You don't want the noodles to be too mushy. You want them to be just what we call to the tooth, have that little bit of resistance when you bite into the noodle itself. So these are done. I'm just going to drain these right now. So I'm going to take our pot. I've got a colander in the sink. Bring this over.
There goes the timer.
There we are. And we'll just drain this into our colander. So all I've done, every 2-3 minutes, I've taken my tongs, I've given the pot of noodles just a quick stir. I want to make sure that all my noodles are separate, that nothing sticks together, and that I don't come out with a big brick of spaghetti. There we are. This guy right here. Alright. So, a little bit of cold water is just for the pipes. I did not rinse my pasta at all. I want all that starch that's on the surface of my pasta to remain on there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to turn my burner on, just to put a little bit of heat back into the oil. And then I'm going to take my hot spaghetti right in the pan. Just like that. And a little bit of that water that's attached to the surface of the noodle. You want that starch. You want a little bit of that pasta water. That's what's going to form the basis of your sauce. So basically we're going to give this a quick stir. We're going to get all of our pancetta, all of our garlic, all of our chili peppers, and our beautifully perfumed, our infused olive oil running through our noodles. We'll just shut the heat. We're not looking to give everything a cook. We're just looking to essentially heat it back through and have all of our pasta just absorb that beautifully fragrant oil. And this is Italian soul food at its finest. This is one of the simplest dishes you will ever cook, you'll ever eat. But the flavor in this is absolutely spectacular. This is proper peasant food, proper what they call, mangiare dei poveri. The peasants would eat this, the poor would eat this, but when you need to be resourceful and get the maximum of flavor out of a handful of very, very humble, very, very simple ingredients, it doesn't get any better. And spaghetti aglio, olio, e peperoncino. And we are essentially done. Give this a quick stir. What I've done is I've grated about 100 grams of Parmigiano Reggiano. This is all grated off a larger wedge of cheese. Please, none of the pre-grated stuff. We can do better than that. Off a much bigger piece, and that way it's fresh. This is like snow. This is grated using a microplane grater. It looks like a large volume of cheese. It really isn't. This is only about 100 grams of cheese. And what we'll do is we will go right into the pan. Make sure we get a little bit of everything. There we are. A little bit of the chili pepper, a little bit of the garlic, A little bit of the pancetta. Absolutely spectacular. Any time of the day, this is literally dinner in about 5 minutes. If you can time it such that your water is boiling and you can get your pasta in there, this sauce literally takes less than 5 minutes to make. And here we are. I like a nice dusting of snow on the top of my pasta. There we are. And I'm just gonna get a quick fork and I'm gonna dive right into that. This is what it's all about. After a night spent on the field, come home to a beautiful bowl of spaghetti aglio, olio, e peperoncino. Let's give this a little twirl, give this a little taste. Mmm. The classics never get old. This is an absolute classic. It doesn't get simpler. It doesn't get better. I hope you try it. If you haven't yet, please do like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next one.